Hello folks, this is Solo speaking, and you're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is footage that was sent to me by Antisocialmunky. Looks like he missed the initial portal, so we pick up here right at the start of stage 1-2. But as I can say, this is going to be a game on Stillwater Hold, which is a very rare portal. I actually have not had a chance to play on this one throughout the entirety of set 9. It doesn't spawn very often. And what this one does is you do not get offered augments. It's one of the reasons why I thought it would be fun to use this replay. It actually sent me 2 different replays, and I thought this would be fun to use because I don't have any footage of Stillwater Hold. We're also going to be watching a new reroll comp in this game, one that's been around since the start of set 9.5, since the mid-set update, but one that I have not had a chance to cast yet, which is Samira reroll. So not Kale, not Tristana, using rerolling for Samira and doing a Noxus-based build instead. Now I call it Samira reroll, but it's really Samira plus Cassiopeia. When you do this build, you reroll for both of them, and Samira is the main carry, and Cassiopeia is kind of the secondary carry. And the build plays into Noxus pretty heavily. Cassiopeia is in there as kind of a trait bot, but she's another 1 cost. And she is a unit that slots pretty neatly into this team composition. As we'll see, one of the new units in set 9.5, Nefiri, also slots into this team composition really well. So here at the start, you can see that Antisocialmunky is trying to pick up his units. By the way, note that there is no augment offered here on stage 2-1. This is going to be an item anvil instead, and because that's what Stillwater Hold does. Definitely different than what you usually see. So out of the item, item anvil, Antisocialmunky ends up taking the He ends up taking the gunblade and opts for that as his first item on Samira. My understanding is the most important item on Samira is a blue buff because she has low mana costs. Let me look up what her mana cost is on the cheat sheet here. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. 30. She has a mana cost of 30. So the blue buff drops that down to a cost of 20, which is a pretty big deal. So yeah, my understanding is blue buff is her most important item. And then after that, you just want to amplify her damage and try to get her some healing. So Gunblade's actually pretty good because it does give her some healing. I think that Bloodthirster is probably a little bit better, but this is certainly not bad. And then things like Infinity Edge, Giant Slayer are good items as well. Just things that an AD unit would use to get some additional damage. So it looks like Antisocialmunky went ahead and made a, what is this item called? Sterix, which is one of the new items here in the mid-set update. I wouldn't say that that's as good of an item on Samira, but he does have the item remover. So he can run this on Samira for right now. He can actually take it off Samira later on if he wants to. Now, the other unit he is playing right now is the Aurelia, and that, of course, is just to get the Challenger trait in play. This is a unit he's going to look to drop later on because it does not fit this comp. But he has not seen too many Noxus units thus far, so has not had an opportunity to pick up too many of them. By the way, that is basically a perfect loss. Antisocialmunky wants to loss streak through the early game. That's typically what you do when you're playing a reroll comp because you're weak early. You do not level to level 4, you stay at level 3. If you've watched some of the other reroll builds that Antisocialmunky has done, and he's been kind enough to let me cast on my channel, then you will probably have seen this in some of the other games. It's a loss streak through the early game, and then once you roll down, you try to hit your 3 stars, and then the goal is that you spike in like the mid game, and then you start winning rounds. But you usually bleed out a fair bit of health in the early game before that happens, and that's always the challenge of reroll builds, is can you hit your 3 stars and put your team together before you lose too much health from loss streaking early on. Alright, anyway, so still not finding a lot of Samiras. Has only found 1 Samira so far, which is not great, and it looked like someone else might be playing this build as well. At least they had a 2-star Cassiopeia, I think, on their board. Anyway, but the goal is you definitely want to loss streak throughout the early game. You really do not want to win any of these rounds. Because if that happens, it messes up your econ. So you definitely do not want to win these rounds. And this is looking not so great because I'm pretty sure Samira is going to win this 1v1. And oops, that was not the goal there. Because that is going to interrupt that loss streak, which is not what you want to see. Excuse me, I thought that I had cleared my throat before recording this video, but apparently not. All right, so right here, ASM's looking for Samira items. Is he going to take the tier? I'm assuming he is, because blue buff, as already mentioned, is one of the really key items on Samira. So he takes the tier because that is half of a blue buff. Pretty straightforward there. Again, so far not really finding the units that he wants. And the interesting thing again about this game is no augments for anyone, so that means none of the reroll augments are going to be possible. Antisocialmunky typically runs Lee Sin as his legend, which offers a bunch of reroll based augments, but that is not going to be an option in this game. He is going to make the 2-star Aurelia, so it gives him a little bit more frontline, and I'm assuming he's going to opt to just play 3 units here, because if he buys another unit, he drops below 30 gold, and he really wants to be at that 30 gold income break point. So I'm assuming he's just going to play the 3 units here, which, yeah, does not look like he's going to purchase anything. So as I said, the goal is you want to grab Samira's. In the early game, you want to grab Cassiopeia's. And then the other units you really want to pick up early on in the game are a pair of 2 costs. Nefiri. Nefiri adds Shurima trait with the Cassiopeia, and then also adds the Challenger trait for Samira. So really slots in perfectly with those 2 units. And then the other unit that you pick up is Swain, because Swain is the early game frontliner for a Noxus comp. So they are both 2 stars, and ideally, if all goes well when you're playing this build, you try to 3-star Samira Cassiopeia at the 1-cost tier, and then try to 3-star the Swain and the Nefiri at the at the 2-cost tier as well. All right, so far Dit now has found a Swain, did find a second Samira, so getting closer there. This does put Noxus trait in play, so you got Noxus in there with these 3 units. That's right, Cassiopeia is also a Noxus unit. I kind of forgot about that. So that's why she also slots into this build. 3 Noxus, 2 Challenger is what you want, and then the Aurelia just gets replaced by Nefiri later on. Antisocial deliberately weakened his board there. I think he was trying to make sure that he lost this round by taking the Cassiopeia off. Unfortunately, he ended up hitting one of the strongest. Actually, this person looks like the strongest player in the lobby, so he could have kept the Cassiopeia on the board. He might have been able to kill more units. Can he kill 1? Yes, okay. Did manage to kill a unit there. But yeah, definitely not close to beating that board, which is about what you'd expect for this stage of the game. But does have 30 gold in the bank, which is decent. That's a shop you want to see. Double Samira is very nice. And I'm assuming he'll want to put the Cassiopeia back in. All right, there we go. So 3 Noxus, 2 Challenger. Again, we've been seeing a lot of Aurelia, who you typically would not play on this build. Let's see if he sells. Yeah, I assume he's going to just sell some of these units to try and get some other gold. So again, when playing this 1-cost reroll setup, the goal is you do not level early. Again, if you're familiar with these builds, that might be standard, but for those who are encountering this and don't have a lot of experience with reroll builds, Antisocialmunky is not leveled at all up to this point in time. He's just been sitting on as much gold as possible. The idea is you want to still be level 4, and then you can see he sells the Aurelias to get up to 50 gold. You want to still be level 4 here on 3-1, and then you do a big roll down on 3-1, because after 3-1, you will auto level to level 5, and the odds to hit 1-cost units will go down. So he's really looking for Cassiopeia's and Samira's here, and trying to roll down as much as possible. The question then always is, how far do you roll down? Also did find a Darius, did find a Nefiri, so Nefiri goes in, replaces Aurelia, as mentioned. Now he is picking up other 1-costs, which very slightly increases the odds to find the ones you want. I said before, I don't think that this really does all that much to increase your odds, but it does very, very marginally increase your odds to find them. And it looks like Antisocialmunky has decided to stop here on 39 gold. He's probably hoping he can win this round to get up to 40. He was able to find a Nefiri. He was able to find a Darius. He's on 2 out of 3 Swains. Has been able to make a pretty good item on Swain in the Crown Guard. Crown Guard's a good item for an AP frontliner. It gives, I can just read the official item description. It does look like he ended up winning this round, so that's good to see. He's going to hit the 40 gold, and now ASM can try to win streak instead of loss streaking. So on 5 Samira's, 4 Cassiopeia's, but he did hit the 2-star Swain, which is pretty good. And let's see what he can get from his item anvil. Again, no augments in this game. Get those item anvils instead. Let's see. So he's got some AD items. Ionic Spark, not that great in this comp because Samira deals physical damage. Looks like Dragon's Claw for Swain. I do think that was the best choice that he had out of those different options. Gonna put the Dragon's Claw on Swain. Gonna pop items off the Samira with one of those 2 one of those two Reforgers, and then opts to put the Sterix Gauge on to Nefiri. I'm a little surprised he popped that off here instead of waiting a little bit longer to put that on. I think it might have made sense to keep that on Samira slightly longer. But I agree, Sterix is not an item you want long-term on Samira. It's not one of her better items. Alright, this person also seems to be playing... they're playing a Rogue's board. I thought for a second they were playing Noxus as well. Swain, though, 2-star Swain this early with good itemization is pretty strong. It looks like Swain just gets off another ult there. And is Swain going to be enough to win this fight? It's pretty close. But looks like the Melio on the other board does not have enough damage to kill that. So yeah, the 2-star Swain making a huge difference in that fight. You saw the Samira got killed fairly early on, but yeah, the other units held on. Alright, so now just slow rolling here on level, what is this? Slow rolling here on level 5. Just trying to hit these 3 stars up to 6 Cassiopeias. So that is worthwhile to play the double Cassiopeias over playing a 1-star Darius. Darius just goes from 3 Noxus to 4 Noxus, so that doesn't really do all that much. And yeah, just gonna rely on these units. Still has the tier for Samira, hoping to get another tier so that you can make that blue buff. Looks like Antisocial's going to have decent carousel priority on the next round. He's actually winning rounds earlier than you normally would with this build. Normally you would probably still be losing rounds if you had not 3-starred either the Samira or the Cassiopeia. But the big difference is he has an early 2-star Swain with, as I said, good items, the Dragon's Claw and the Crown Guard. So the Swain is really making the difference right here in terms of providing additional front line for this build. Let's see what he can go ahead and get here. He's actually down to 3rd pick here. That's unusual when you're playing this reroll build, that you would not usually be winning rounds this early. Now there is a Mordekaiser here. That's kind of interesting. There's also a tier, but there's 3 spatulas on this carousel as well. I wonder if ASM would take the tier versus the spatula. Let's see what he grabs here. So, the tier is going to get grabbed, so he might as well try to take the spatula. The spatula is useful in this build because you are playing a vertical Noxus team composition, and Noxus is a craftable emblem. The recipe is still the same from the first half of the set. It's spatula plus belt turns a unit into a Noxus unit. And, you know, there is a unit that's really good to turn into a Noxus unit, and that's Nefiri. Nefiri's a really good choice. There's a 2-star Nefiri. Still rolling here, going to pick up the Swain. Not fighting too many Cassiopeias thus far, and then just going to sell some of the other 1-cost. Again, the reason for that would be, you could also pick up the Katarina here, potentially. But if you can use a Noxus emblem, if you can get a Noxus emblem, he can turn Nefiri into a Noxus unit, then put Darius on the board, and then that's 5 Noxus as opposed to 3 Noxus, which is a pretty big spike. I do have the cheat sheet here, Noxus. Noxus is pretty much the same from the first half of the set, but for those who might be unfamiliar with this, Noxus as a trait grants units health, ability power, and attack damage. So it's basically all offensive traits. Health, ability power, attack damage. And then that's increased by 5% for each different opponent you have either beaten in combat or is dead. So you can stack up, you can stack the benefit up by 35% more if you defeat all 7 opponents or if they start getting knocked out of the lobby. So Noxus 3, 160 health, 16 ability power, 16 attack damage. And then that virtually doubles Noxus 5 because up to 300 health, 30 ability power, 30% attack damage. Again, that will increase as you win combats against the other side, but it's you know, it's pretty significant. Go from 160 health, 16 AD, 16 AP to 300 health, 30 AD, 30 AP. That's a pretty big benefit. All right, so starting to get close to the 3 stars. They have not come that fast. Also saw the little mini winning streak ended there by Antisocial. He's on 7 Cassiopeias, 7 Samiras right now, so he's getting close. But ASM's been very patient in this game. He has not tried to roll down below 50 gold. He's just kind of letting the units come to him. And there are a decent number of Noxus units out of the pool, but I don't think anyone is going for straight Samira reroll and contesting him in this lobby, which is a good sign. So hopefully those units will still be there. Hopefully he'll be able to get a belt either out of the next minion round or out of the next carousel, so he'll be able to make use of that spatula. Otherwise, the spatula's not really going to do that much. Not really other things you can make out of the spatula with this build. I guess you could turn a unit into a Sork, so you Swain gets Sork trait, but that doesn't really feel that significant. Much better to try to get the Noxus emblem, if possible, so that you can keep going vertical Noxus. Alright, there's another Nefiri. There's a Samira. That's 8. Getting close here. Ah, there we go. So it did not show up immediately, but again, ASM was very patient in this game. Did a good job of not rushing things, and yeah, hit the 3-star Samira without too much trouble. All right, so next unit in is going to be Darius, and ideally you find one more Noxus unit, most likely Katarina, so that you can get up to the 5 Noxus tier, or else get a belt here. That would be nice as well for the, as we said, for the Noxus emblem. And oh, there it is. Okay, well, it is a little bit of a high roll game, but yeah, not bad. So now Darius can go in. There is a tier to make blue buff on Samira. Oh man, everything's coming up ASM in this game right now. So he got up to the 5 Noxus. He hit both of his 3 stars. And looks like he's going to go ahead and make a Thief's Glove. That seems pretty smart. Cassiopeia is, what is it? She's a 3-star now as well, so you definitely want something for her. And again, she's the off carry in this build. Samira is the main carry, and Cassiopeia is the off carry. So it's good to be able to put something on her. She's a good target for a Thief's Glove. All right, well, now that the 5 Noctis is in, that means, as I said, more health for everybody. 300 health, plus whatever benefit Antisocialmunky is getting from the opponents he's already defeated. Also, additional attack damage and additional ability power. Makes sense that Noxus thematically is an offensive trait. Yeah, ASM highlighted it for a second there. But I did not see how many opponents he's beaten. I think he's beaten a decent portion of the lobby. I think he's beaten like 5 or 6 opponents. So yeah, now he's going to look to level. So up to this point in time, he has not been leveling. By the way, here's the 3rd augment, which is turning into another item. Out of these options, Gnasher's Tooth is not too bad. But I think he goes... Okay, he ends up going for the Infinity Edge. This is just a damage increase for Samira. It means that now her ability can crit. And gives her, of course, additional AD and additional critical strike chance. So definitely a good last item here. It is going to boost her damage by quite a bit. Okay, never mind. I thought that ASM was going to level here, but no, he's actually going to stay at level 6 and reroll for a bit. He is on 6 Nefiris. He's on 6 Swains. If he could hit either of these units, it would be another big power spike for him. I think the Swain is probably the more important because Swain is the main damage source in the comp, or excuse me, the main tank in the comp. But having 3-star Nefiri would not be bad, especially with Nefiri with a Noxus emblem, so that she's getting all of those additional stats from Noxus that she wouldn't normally get. And yeah, ASM is just kind of punching right through these other boards. As I said, it's a weird lobby because of the Stillwater Hold, nobody having any augments. I think Stillwater Hold is probably good when you're doing a reroll build like this, because reroll builds, generally speaking, they tend to spike in the mid game. They do usually fall off a bit in the late game unless you can level and get more of your... There's a Katarina, so that's another unit that can go in potentially. They do tend to fall off a little bit in the late game unless you can keep leveling after hitting your 3 stars, which sometimes you can do, but a little bit harder because you tend to be behind the pace of the lobby a little bit. Just because everybody else is leveling earlier than you are, because you have to stop to do all those rerolls. Anyway, not having augments decreases the total power level of the lobby, and I think that's probably good for a reroll build like this. I think just having a lower power level in the lobby is probably better, as opposed to when people are getting, like let's say it's a triple prismatic augment. That means there's going to be an enormous amount of power in the augment, and I think that's probably bad for a reroll comp. It's a little bit harder to make it work. And then not to say it's impossible, but I think it's better when the power level of the lobby is a bit lower when you're doing a reroll build like this. But yeah, ASM was kind of able to hit everything. He's got really good items on Samira, blue buff, Gunblade for a little bit of healing, and then Infinity Edge to boost damage. He has the 3-star Cassiopeia with the Thief's Glove, so she's going to roll something at least semi-decent every round. And then he's also got, what is it? He's got the Noxus emblem is the other thing. So that's all. Those are all big power spikes. And with no one having augments to boost their power, it's going to help. All right, now looks like he's going to take the Swain here. I'm assuming because this gets him to 7 Swains, and he has a champion duplicator on the bench. So he's only 1 Swain away from Swain 3-star. The tier, I'm not exactly sure what he's going to do with that, but maybe that could be like a Hand of Justice for Nefiri. That wouldn't be bad. So I'm assuming he's just going to keep rolling here. Yeah, he's grabbing 2 costs, and oh, there it is. There's the Swain 3-star. So now he can look to start leveling if he wants, because the next thing you want to do is try to get in Noxus 7, which is going to be another big power spike. Going to toss in Tarek just to get the whatchamacallit, Sork trait in play for Swain. But 3-star Swain's going to be a magnificent tank here. So yeah, has the Katarina. So now he needs to find Mordekaiser, or I guess also Scion, but Mordekaiser is more likely to be found. So if he can find the Mordekaiser, that would get him up to 7 Noxus, which as I said is another big power spike. So we talked a bit about 5 Noxus is 300 health, 30 ability power, 30 attack damage. 7 Noxus goes up to 420 health, 42 ability power, 42 attack damage. So again, it's an increase of almost 50%. Not quite, but close. And then if you've stacked up that conquest bonus, that could be increased by another 35%. So what's 420 health multiplied by 35% higher? That's a little over 500 health. I think it's like 530 health, 550 health. But I mean, like, if you're getting like 550 health, 55 ability power, 55 attack damage, I mean, that's just a lot of stats. And that's one of the ways that Noxus tends to beat people, is they just kind of outstat their opponents. They just get so many raw statistics that they just kind of overwhelm the other side, because you have so much health, so much AP, so much AD. As I said, it kind of overwhelms the other team. Now, the converse is Noxus is a win-streaking trait, which is why it's a little wonky to play it as a reroll trait, because Noxus, you really do need to win the combat rounds. It is a much weaker trait if you're not winning the combat rounds and stacking up that conquest bonus. So it's a trait that generally likes to play from ahead. If you fall behind while playing Noxus builds, it tends to be pretty awkward, because, as already mentioned, you really do need those extra stats from beating the opponents. Fortunately for ASM, he seems to have gotten them without too much trouble here. I think he's gotten the conquest bonus against everyone in the lobby by this point, because he has won 6 rounds, and he was on like a 4 or 5 match win streak before that. So unless there's like maybe one person he hasn't beaten, he's either at 7 opponents beaten, or probably 6 at the minimum. So he's looking really strong there. His Swain has been pretty unkillable with the Crown Guard and the Dragon's Claw. So really with like one more item, Bramble Vest would probably be the best if you could get it. Let's see, is that a possibility? There's 2-star Darius. There's the Mordekaiser. So the Fury can come out, or I don't know if he wants to play the Tark or the Neferi, but he can play that. So now he has 7 Noxus in, and let's see what he's going to pull here. Now he could take the Chain Vest, could potentially take the... Alright, he could have potentially taken the Chain Vest for Bramble, which would not have been bad, but it looks like he wanted to use his item remover, make the Gargoyle Stoveplate on Swain, and then put the Thief's Glove on Mordekaiser. That seems pretty smart. Blue buff is really good on Cassiopeia as well. It's one of the drawbacks of playing this team composition. You want a blue buff on Samira, but you'd actually really like a blue buff on Cassiopeia as well, because her mana costs are also very low. She has a mana cost of 30. They're both 30. Okay. Samira's is 30 mana cost. Flare shoots at the target, deal damage to the first enemy hit, reduce their armor for the rest of combat. And Cassiopeia's is Twin Fang, 30 mana, deal magic damage to the current target, wound them for 5 seconds. If they're already wounded, deal bonus magic damage. Interesting. So yeah, they both definitely like stacking up that, getting that blue buff and being able to just cast and cast and cast and cast. Alright, so ASM's now level 8. He's got the 7 Noxus in here. At the moment, the biggest thing is to try to find Mordekaiser 2-star. He's got the Thief's Glove on Mord, so that makes sense because he just doesn't have enough items to try to fill out Mord slots. But getting the Thief's Glove is going to help, so he'd love to find one more Mordekaiser, and then he can decide if he wants to stay on level 8 or try to push to level 9, play like a random legendary unit. You could try to slot in like Rise, would that be terrible? The best unit to put in, though, is to put in Aatrox, because Aatrox is really nice. He will give Slayer trait to Mordekaiser, and then he also gives Darken 2 to Neferi, which is something that's new here in this mid-set update. The fact that Aatrox now, it's not just Darken 1, you can actually play Darken 2 by playing Aatrox and Neferi together. And I'll go ahead and read what that does. I honestly, off the top of my head, don't know quite what this does, but I know it affects that Darken blade that they have. Okay, Darken 1, Darken are possessed by a weapon. When they die, the weapon possesses the nearest ally champion, gaining them the weapon's power. You particularly like to play Neferi in this comp because you want that Darken blade to go over to Samira, because she can really benefit that. Darken 2 is the weapon's power becomes 50% stronger, so all the benefits get increased by 50%. Neferi has Darken Dagger. After casting, summon pack mates. They attack the first enemy hit for a total of AD. So looks like that passes over to the other user. And then Aatrox has the Darkened Blade. Gain 350 health in Omnivamp if another unit holds this weapon for at least 5 seconds. Aatrox revives on their death. So again, those benefits increase by 50%, which is really quite nice. Anyway, the 3 units are just still carrying this fight: Samira, Cassiopeia, and Swain. I don't know that Swain has died in any fight since he was 3-starred. Swain looking really strong. By the way, great items on Mordekaiser for that round. He got the Rapid Fire Cannon, which is probably his best item, and then he also picked up an Infinity Edge. Now, Mordekaiser deals magic damage, but the Infinity Edge does still allow his damage to crit, and of course, there's a ton of ability power that Mordekaiser gets just by virtue of having the Noxus trait. All right, well, looky here on this carousel. There's a whole bunch of emblems here on this carousel, and one of them is a Noxus emblem. I don't think anybody else would want a Noxus emblem because no one else is playing Vertical Noxus. So even though ASM is last pick, free Noxus emblem. This is really nice. So now he has the opportunity to play 9 Noxus if he can get up to level 9 and find Scion. That is really nice. Okay, so the only person who can take the Noxus emblem is Tarek. Every other unit on the board is already a Noxus unit, or their Neferi, who has a Noxus emblem as well. So that is going to add more base stats up to Tarek, who's really just in there for Sork trait. Could potentially play Silco over the Tarek, which is probably better here. That's a possibility. Yeah, I thought that would make sense. Silco is just going to make better use of that Sork trait. Tarek would be something you'd play if you want more frontline, but the 3-star Swain with very good items and Noxus 7 is going to be plenty of frontline here. So this way the Silco will just add a little bit of extra damage, but mostly he's just in there to get Sork trait on Swain, so that Swain does a little bit more damage when he casts his ability against frontliners. And then, yeah, everybody else just stand behind Swain, rely on having a billion stats from Noxus, and then, yeah, you can see Samira still doing her thing. So ASM is on a 10-match win streak, and he's just kind of dominating this lobby. So you can definitely see the strength of this this build if everything comes together. Also holding on to the whatchamacallit, Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai would give Slayer trait. That's the reason to hold on to that. Now, Mordekaiser is not the featured unit in this build. I know we've done some game. I know I did a game where Mordekaiser was the featured unit. That Grillo played had multiple 2-star Mordekaisers on his board at the same time. But no, not in this game. It's the Swain, it's the Cassiopeia, and it's especially the Samira that are really carrying this. So that is the difference between Reroll Noxus, which is what ASM's played here, and if you're gonna play the Vertical Noxus, where you try to level to 8 quickly and then play through the Mordekaiser. But I mean, Mord's kicking in some extra damage as well. He rolled another Rapid Fire Cannon on his Thieves Club, so that's pretty good. But as we've seen before, it's still just these same units hanging on. Now, Swain actually did die in this fight. This is the other person who's on a big win streak. They've got a Vanquisher's board, and oh, this is close! Oh my goodness. The Samira is on maybe, what, 1% health, 2% health? Yeah, that person is playing a Vanquisher's board. They had the Ionia emblem for Neela, and I think they had a Vanquisher emblem on somebody else. But that is the strongest comp in this particular build. I've tried to get a game playing that, but I haven't gotten too good footage. There's one game I might be able to use for that. But yeah, that is the strongest comp in this patch. Vanquishers are overpowered in this comp, so not surprising that person was win streaking. You can see, in order to be comparable with that build, Antisocial had to be double Noxus emblems, multiple 3-stars. As I said, Vanquishers are overpowered in this patch. But ASF's getting pretty close to level 9. He just needs to find the Scion. If he can find the Scion, he'll be up to Noxus 9, which is extremely rare because you need double Noxus emblems to play it. There's only 7 Noxus units in this set. So you need double Noxus emblems, and you need to find Scion, who's a 5 cost. So this is very hard to do, but Noxus 9, 750 health, 75 ability power, 75% attack damage. Again, increase all of those by like a third. If you've got the benefit fully stacked up, and oh my god, there it is. There's the Scion. Wow, the very first store upon hitting level 9. So yeah, this is a bit of a high roll game, and it looks like ASM is going to change the holder of the Noxus emblem from the Silco, who didn't really fit this board. Silco kind of adds extra damage, a little bit of extra healing and utility, but he's going to switch that over to Jarvan. I think that makes sense. Jarvan's going to add Strategist trait, and Jarvan just has a better ultimate for this setup. He's going to provide the crowd control that hits the back line. Plus, he's going to have a tremendous amount of extra stats from having Noxus trait. So yeah, 750 health multiplied by about a third. That's about 1,000. Yeah, that comes up to about 1,000. By the way, ASM has gotten the Aurelia Chibi little legend. I hate these things, but I know ASM likes them. apparently making a tremendous amount of money for Riot because people just keep buying these. All right, well, there's 2-star Mordekaiser. That's kind of nice. So yeah, but yeah, and all his units with every single unit on the board is Noxus or has a Noxus emblem, and they're all getting about 1,000 health, 100 AP, and 100 AD, which is absolutely insane, pretty crazy. Yeah, so apparently someone was trash talking in the lobby. I don't really know what's going on with that, but I usually just mute everybody if they start talking in the lobby. It looks like this is a ghost round, so one of these other players is going to knock out the other one. So ASM cannot win the lobby on this round because he's a ghost round. He can't actually deal damage to anybody else. But he's on a 12-match winning streak, and I mean, with Noxus 9 in, he's kind of hit everything that he could possibly want to hit. His board is just like giga capped at this point in time. Interesting that Mordekaiser actually did the most amount of damage. And unsurprisingly, it is that Vanquisher's board. By the way, we actually hit another Scion here. That's pretty funny. And then there's a Jarvan in the store as well. Looks like he decided to give up on the Fury 3-star. Yeah, he wasn't going to hit the Fury 3-star. Got close, but didn't quite hit it in this game. But he also managed to make Jarvan 2-star. So this board is pretty, as I said, pretty giga capped here. Everything's 2-star except Katarina, who's just in there in a straight bot, and the Scion, who you wouldn't expect a 2-star. I do want to point out how different this looks from other Noxus boards. Like, the Noxus games that I played in the first half of the set, typically what you would do is you play through Darius and Katarina, and you try to 3-star both of those 3 costs, and like that was how you played Noxus. This board looks totally different. Like, the Darius and the Katarina are a complete afterthought. They're just in there as straight bots. It's Samira, Swain, Cassiopeia, and then to a certain extent Mordekaiser, because he was able to 2-star the Mordekaiser as well. But it is noteworthy that the game, that Noxus like plays very differently here in the mid-set update. Well, anyway, that is a first place. That is a very comfortable first place. Not even really close at all. I did want to cast this game, though, just because Stillwater Hold makes for such an unusual situation. I thought that it made for an interesting game, and I thought it was really cool that ASA was able to hit Noxus 9 despite not getting any Noxus augments from augments, because there were no augments in this game. But a really good example of showing how to be patient, how to not overroll to hit these units, not to damage economy. And to be fair, it was a bit of a high roll game, but ASM played it really, really well. And in the end, Samira and Noxus 9 just too strong. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks to Antisocialmunky for sharing this video with me. Until next time, hope everybody's having a great week. Take care, folks, and I'll see you again soon.